The gate slammed shut, its cold metal clang echoing like a gunshot in my heart. I stood frozen, staring at the access denied flashing red on the screen, my late wife's dream of our ranch crumbling before my eyes. Every sunset we'd watched from our porch, every promise we'd made to grow old here, felt stolen by the HOA's cruel lockout. My hands trembled, not with fear, but with the weight of a secret I'd buried for months. Today, they thought they'd won, but this gate was the trap I'd set to bury them. Dust swirled around my boots as I faced the gate, blocking the only road to my ranch. The Oak Ridge HOA had gone too far this time. For years, they'd nagged about my fence, my truck, even the wildflowers Jenny and I planted, because they didn't fit their cookie-cutter aesthetic. But now, they'd locked me out, claiming the road was theirs. From the camera above, a sharp voice cut through. "This is private property now, Mr. Carter," said Helen Brooks, the HOA president, her tone dripping with smug victory. "Leave, or we'll call the sheriff." Behind her, a few residents watched, some smirking, others uneasy. I didn't argue. I reached into my jacket for a small metal key I'd kept hidden since last spring. This wasn't about begging, it was about turning their game against them. 6 months ago, I'd found something in the county records that changed everything. After Jenny passed, I'd poured myself into saving our ranch, the last piece of her I had left. While fixing the barn, I got an email from Helen. Urgent, new access regulations. My gut twisted as I read it. The HOA was installing an electronic gate to secure the road, the only way to my 5 acres. They said it was for safety, but I knew better. The road was on my land, not theirs, according to my deed. I called my old friend Mike, a retired surveyor who knew the county inside out. Over coffee on my porch, he squinted at the papers. "Tom, this ain't just about a gate," he said, tapping the map. "There's talk of a big developer, Horizon Corp., eyeing this area for condos. They need your land." His words hit like a punch. This was a setup to force me out. I didn't sleep that night. Jenny's laugh still echoed in the house, her garden blooming outside. I wasn't losing this place. I started digging, spending hours in the county office, flipping through dusty files. That's when I found it, a 50-year-old easement clause. The road wasn't just mine. It was the only legal access to Oak Ridge's entire community. If I wanted, I could lock them all out. I kept it quiet, playing the grieving widower while planning my move. I even joined their stupid HOA meetings, nodding along as Helen droned about community standards. She thought I was broken, but I was building a trap. Back at the gate, Helen's voice snapped me to the present. "You're wasting our time, Tom." I smiled, just enough to make her pause. "You sure about that?" I said, holding up the key. Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" I didn't answer. I walked to a small control box hidden in the brush, one I'd installed weeks ago when they were busy patting themselves on the back. The key turned and a low hum started. The gate screen flickered, then went black. Gasps came from the other side. "What did you do?" Helen shouted, her cool facade cracking. I leaned close to the camera. "You locked me out, Helen. But you didn't know I control this road. And your whole neighborhood." The residents behind her stirred, confusion spreading. I slipped the key back in my pocket and turned away, my boots crunching on gravel. This was just the start. I'd spent months gathering proof, emails, permits, even recordings of Helen meeting Horizon slick rep Victor Lane. They thought they could bully me into selling cheap for their condo project. They were wrong. As I walked to my truck, I glanced back at the gate, now useless. If you've ever dealt with a power-hungry HOA or a neighbor with a clipboard, subscribe to our channel for more HOA horror stories. This tale's just beginning, and the twists are coming. I drove to the diner where Mike was waiting, his pickup parked out front. "You really do it?" he asked as I slid into the booth. I nodded, sliding a folder across the table. Inside were copies of the easement, survey maps, and a photo of Helen shaking hands with Victor at a fancy restaurant. Mike whistled low. "You're playing with fire, Tom. Horizon's got deep pockets." I sipped my coffee, the bitter taste grounding me. "They started this," I said. "I'm finishing it." Mike leaned back, a grin creeping up. "What's next?" I looked out the window at the sunset, Jenny's favorite time of day. Next, I show them what happens when you mess with a man who's got nothing left to lose. The diner's neon sign buzzed outside, casting a red glow on Mike's face as he flipped through my folder. My heart pounded, Jenny's memory burning in my chest. Every page he turned, maps, emails, that photo of Helen with Victor, felt like a step closer to saving our ranch. I wasn't just fighting for land. I was fighting for the life we'd planned, the one cancer stole from her. But Helen and her HOA cronies thought they could take it, too. Mike closed the folder and pushed it back. "Tom, this is dynamite," he said, his voice low. "But you sure you want to go this far?" Helen's got the whole HOA eating out of her hand. I leaned forward, my coffee cold now. "She locked me out, Mike. They want my home for some condo deal. I'm not backing down." He nodded, eyes serious. "All right. What's your next move?" I glanced at the photo of Helen and Victor, their smiles smug. "I go to their meeting tomorrow," I said. "Act like I'm playing nice. Then I hit them where it hurts." The Oak Ridge Community Center was packed the next evening, the air thick with tension. I walked in, my boots echoing on the polished floor. Faces turned, some curious, some hostile. Helen stood at the front, her tailored jacket screaming control. She barely looked at me, but her tight smile said she thought I was here to beg. I took a seat in the back, next to Mrs. Larson, an older woman who'd brought Jenny cookies during her chemo. "You okay, Tom?" she whispered, her eyes kind. I nodded, my throat tight. "Just here to set things right." Helen tapped the podium, her voice sharp. "Let's begin. Our new gate system ensures safety for all residents." A few people clapped, but I caught uneasy glances. She went on about community standards, never mentioning how they'd lock me out. My blood boiled, but I kept quiet, waiting. When she opened the floor for questions, I raised my hand. The room went still. "Tom Carter," she said, her tone icy. "What's your concern?" I stood, keeping my voice steady. "I'm curious, Helen. How's it legal to block my road when my deed says it's mine?" Her smile froze. Whispers rippled through the crowd. "The road's under HOA control," she said, too fast. "Our lawyers checked everything." I pulled a folded paper from my pocket, the easement clause. "This says different," I replied. "It says I own the road, and your gate's on my land." The whispers grew louder. Helen's face reddened. "This isn't the place for disputes," she snapped. "Sit down, Tom." But I didn't. "You locked me out of my home," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "Jenny and I built that ranch. You think you can take it?" Mrs. Larson gasped beside me. A man in the front row, Ed, a retired mechanic, stood up. "Is that true, Helen? You blocked his road." Helen's eyes darted to a guy in a suit at the side, Victor Lane, Horizon's rep. He gave her a slight nod. "We're protecting property values," she said, regaining her cool. "Mr. Carter's ranch doesn't fit our vision." My chest tightened. "Jenny's wildflowers, our porch swing. They call that an eyesore?" I stepped forward. "Your vision's a lie," I said. "You're working with Horizon to steal my land for condos." The room erupted. People shouted questions. Helen banged the podium. "That's enough. This meeting's over." But Ed wasn't done. "Answer him, Helen. What's this about condos?" Victor stepped in, his voice smooth. "Just rumors, folks. Horizon's exploring options, but it's all for your benefit." I laughed, bitter. "Benefit? Tell that to the guy you locked out." I held up the easement. "This proves I control the road. Not you. And I'm not selling." Helen's composure cracked. "You're out of line, Tom," she yelled. "Security, escort him out." Two guys in polo shirts moved toward me, but Mrs. Larson stood up. "Leave him alone," she said, her voice shaky but firm. Ed joined her. "Yeah, let him talk." Others nodded, their faces angry. The security guys hesitated. I looked at Helen, her eyes wide with panic. "You made a mistake," I said quietly. "This gate's your trap, not mine." I walked out, the crowd shouts following me. They weren't just mad at me anymore. They were mad at her. Outside, the night air hit my face, cooling the fire in my chest. I leaned against my truck, Jenny's memory wrapping around me like a blanket. I'd shaken them up, But this was just the spark. Back home, I spread my evidence on the kitchen table. The same one where Jenny and I used to plan our future. The easement, the photo, a recording Mike got of Helen and Victor talking about removing obstacles. I called Lisa, a lawyer friend from town. "Tom, this is huge," she said over the phone, her voice excited. "That easement means you own their access. You could shut down Oak Ridge." I stared at Jenny's photo on the wall, her smile bright. "I don't want to hurt the neighbors," I said. "Just Helen and Horizon." Lisa paused. "Then we need more proof. Keep playing their game. Let them dig their own grave." I hung up, my hand steady now. Helen thought she'd won by locking me out, but she didn't know I'd been planning this for months. The gate was her weapon, but I turned it into mine. Tomorrow, I'd go back to the county office, dig deeper into Horizon's plans. They wanted my ranch? They'd get a fight. As I locked the folder away, I whispered to Jenny's photo, "We're not losing this, sweetheart. Not now, not ever." The morning sun hit my kitchen window, lighting up Jenny's photo on the wall. Her smile felt like a promise I had to keep, but my chest ached with the weight of what I was up against. Helen and Horizon weren't just after my ranch. They were tearing apart everything we'd built. I clutched the folder of evidence, my hands shaking with anger and hope. This fight wasn't just for me. It was for her, for us, and I wasn't letting them win. I drove to the county office, the folder tucked under my arm. The clerk, a quiet guy named Sam, recognized me from my last visits. "Back again, Tom?" he asked, pushing up his glasses. "Yeah," I said, my voice rough. "Need to check some permits. Anything on Horizon Corp?" Sam frowned, glancing around. "You're stirring up trouble, huh?" he said, but he pulled a stack of files. "Found these yesterday. Looks like Horizon's pushing for a big project. Condos, retail, the works. Your ranch is in their way." My stomach twisted. "They're working with the HOA, aren't they?" I asked. Sam nodded. "Got a permit signed by Helen Brooks herself. Shady stuff." I took the papers, my heart racing. "Thanks, Sam. This means a lot." Back in my truck, I called Lisa. "Found more dirt," I told her, my voice tight. "Horizon's permits, signed by Helen. They're planning to bulldoze my place." Lisa sucked in a breath. "Tom, this is huge. If we can prove collusion, we've got them. But you need to be careful. Horizon's got money, and Helen's desperate." I gripped the wheel, Jenny's face flashing in my mind. "I'm not scared," I said. "They took everything from me, but this ranch. They're not getting it." Lisa's voice softened. "I know, Tom. Just don't do anything stupid. Meet me tomorrow. We'll plan the next step." That night, I sat on my porch, the stars bright above. The gate still stood at the road's end, a dark shadow mocking me. I thought of Jenny, how she'd laugh and say, "Tom, you're too stubborn for your own good." I smiled, tears burning my eyes. "You'd love this fight, sweetheart," I whispered. A noise snapped me out of it, footsteps on gravel. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped off the porch. "Who's there?" I called, my voice sharp. A figure froze near the gate. It was Ed, the mechanic from the meeting, his hands up. "It's just me, Tom," he said, his voice shaky. "Didn't mean to scare you." I lowered the light. "What are you doing here, Ed?" I asked, my heart still pounding. He stepped closer, his face pale. "I couldn't sleep after that meeting," he said. "What you said about Helen and Horizon, it's true, isn't it?" I nodded, my jaw tight. "Every word. They locked me out to force me to sell." Ed ran a hand through his gray hair. "I've lived here 20 years. My kids grew up here. If they're planning condos, they're not just after you. They're after all of us." His voice cracked, and I saw fear in his eyes. "What do we do, Tom?" I motioned to the porch. "Sit," I said. We sat in the dark, the air heavy. "I've got proof," I told him. "The road's mine, and I control their access. Helen doesn't know it yet, but she's trapped." Ed's eyes widened. "You're gonna fight them?" "Alone." I shook my head. "Not alone. You're here, aren't you?" He looked down, his hands clasped. "I'm no hero, Tom. But I'm sick of Helen acting like she owns us. She fined me last year for my mailbox. Said it was too rustic. My wife cried for days." His voice broke and my chest tightened. I knew that pain. Helen's petty rules had hurt Jenny, too. Ed, listen, I said, leaning forward. I'm taking this to the next HOA meeting. I've got papers, recordings, everything. But I need people like you to back me up. He met my eyes, his jaw set. You're crazy, Tom. But I'm in. What do you need? I smiled, the first real one in days. Just show up. And spread the word. Helen's counting on us, staying quiet. Let's make some noise. Ed nodded, standing. For your wife, huh? He said softly. I swallowed hard. Yeah, for Jenny. As Ed left, I stayed on the porch, the folder in my lap. My phone buzzed, a text from Mrs. Larson. Heard about the meeting. You okay? We're with you. Tears stung my eyes. I wasn't alone anymore. But the fight was getting bigger. Horizon and Helen wouldn't go down easy. I went inside and pulled out the recording Mike had given me. Helen's voice crackled through. Victor, Carter's a problem. We need him out fast. Victor's reply was cold. Raise the fines. Cut his access. He'll break. I stopped the tape, my blood boiling. They thought I'd break? They didn't know I'd been broken before, when Jenny died. This time, I was fighting back. I called Mike. Ed's on board, I said. And Mrs. Larson. We're building a team. Mike chuckled. You're starting a revolution, Tom. I looked at Jenny's photo, her smile steadying me. No, I said. I'm finishing one. Tomorrow, I'd meet Lisa and plan the HOA meeting showdown. Helen thought she'd lock me out, but I was about to lock her in a trap she'd never escape. The morning air felt heavy as I sat across from Lisa at her small law office, papers spread between us. Jenny's memory clung to me, her laughter echoing in my mind, urging me to fight for our ranch. Every document on the table, permits, the easement, Helen's shady deal with Horizon, was a weapon, but my heart ached knowing how close I'd come to losing it all. Tears pricked my eyes as I thought of her garden, still blooming despite everything. This wasn't just about land, it was about keeping her with me. Lisa tapped the easement clause, her voice steady but kind. Tom, this is airtight. You own the road. Oak Ridge's whole community depends on it. If you push this at the HOA meeting, Helen's done. I nodded, my throat tight. It's not just Helen, I said. Horizon's behind her. They want my ranch gone. Lisa leaned back, her eyes narrowing. Then we hit them both. You've got the recording, the permits, Ed's support. But, Tom, you gotta stay calm. Helen's gonna fight dirty. I clenched my fists, anger flaring. She locked me out of my home, Lisa. She doesn't get to win. A knock at the door made us jump. It was Mrs. Larson, her face pale. Tom, I heard something, she said, stepping inside. Helen's telling people you're lying about the road. She's got Victor at her house right now, planning something. My stomach dropped. Planning what? I asked. Mrs. Larson wrung her hands. I don't know, but folks are scared. Some believe her. They think you're stirring up trouble for nothing. I stood, my chair scraping the floor. They think I'm the problem? After she blocked my road. Lisa put a hand on my arm. Tom, breathe. We'll show them the truth. Mrs. Larson, can you get more people to the meeting? She nodded, her voice firm. I'll try. For you and Jenny. Back at the ranch, I paced the living room, the folder open on the coffee table. Jenny's photo watched me, her eyes gentle but strong. I'm trying, sweetheart, I whispered, my voice breaking. I'm so tired. My phone buzzed. Mike. Tom, you need to see this, he said, his voice urgent. I'm outside. I opened the door, and he held up his phone, showing a grainy video. It was Helen and Victor in her driveway, caught by Mike's old security camera. We need Carter out by next week, Helen said, her voice cold. Victor smirked. Raise his fines to 10 grand. Say it's for trespassing. He'll crack. I stared at the screen, my blood boiling. Trespassing? On my own land. I said, my voice shaking. Mike gripped my shoulder. We've got Tom. This video's gold. I invited Mike inside, and we sat at the kitchen table, the same one where Jenny and I used to share coffee. I'm taking this to the meeting, I said, my hand steady now. Ed's in, Mrs. Larson's spreading the word. We're not alone anymore. Mike grinned, but his eyes were serious. You're playing a dangerous game, Tom. Horizon's got lawyers, maybe worse. You sure about this? I looked at Jenny's photo, her smile grounding me. I've got nothing left to lose, I said. They took Jenny. They don't get the ranch too. Mike nodded, his voice soft. All right. I'm with you. What do you need? I handed him a USB drive. Make copies of the video. Get it to Ed and Mrs. Larson. Everyone needs to see it. Later, I drove to the community center, my heart pounding. The parking lot was full, more cars than I'd ever seen. Inside, the room buzzed with tension. Helen stood at the podium, her smile fake as she greeted people. Victor sat nearby, his suit crisp, whispering to her. I took a seat next to Ed, who looked nervous but determined. You got the video? I whispered. He patted his pocket. Right here. You ready, Tom? I nodded, my chest tight. For Jenny, I said. He squeezed my arm. For all of us. Helen started the meeting, her voice smooth. We're here to clear up rumors, she said. Mr. Carter's claims about the road are false. Our gate is legal, and we're protecting your homes. A few people clapped, but others frowned. I stood, my voice cutting through the room. Then why'd you lock me out, Helen? I said, my anger raw. Why's Horizon paying you to push me out? The crowd gasped. Helen's face went white. That's a lie, she snapped. You're causing trouble. I held up the USB drive. I've got proof. You and Victor, planning to fine me for trespassing on my own land. Victor stood, his voice sharp. Sit down, Carter. You're embarrassing yourself. Ed stood beside me, his voice loud. Let him talk. I saw the video. Helen's working with Horizon to steal his ranch. The room exploded, people shouting. Mrs. Larson waved a copy of easement. Tom's right, she yelled. The road's his. We're all trapped if he shuts it down. Helen banged the podium. This is chaos. Meeting's over. But nobody moved. A woman in the back, Clara, stood. My husband's sick, she said, her voice trembling. We can't lose our home to condos. Is this true, Helen? Helen's eyes darted to Victor, but he looked away. I stepped forward, my voice steady despite the tears in my eyes. It's true. They want my ranch, and they'll come for yours next. But I'm fighting back. For my wife. For all of you. The crowd roared, some angry, some cheering. Helen's face twisted with panic. You'll regret this, Tom, she hissed, storming out with Victor. I stood there, Ed and Mrs. Larson beside me, the room alive with voices. I felt Jenny's strength in me, her love pushing me forward. This was our moment, but the fight wasn't over. Helen and Horizon would hit back, and I had to be ready. The community center's lights still burned in my mind as I drove home, the crowd shouts echoing like a heartbeat. Jenny's face flashed before me, her smile both a comfort and a fire urging me on. My hands gripped the wheel, tears blurring the road as I thought of her garden, our porch, everything Helen and Horizon wanted to destroy. I'd shaken their world tonight, but the ache in my chest told me this fight was far from over. They'd come for me harder now, and I had to be ready. At the ranch, I found Mike waiting on the porch, his face grim. Tom, you stirred up a hornet's nest, he said, holding up his phone. Helen's already spinning lies. Posted on the HOA website that you're a fraud. My stomach twisted. A fraud. I said, my voice cracking. She locked me out of my own land. Mike nodded, his eyes steady. She's scared, Tom. That video's got her cornered. But she's got friends, people who owe her favors. I sank into a chair, Jenny's photo, watching me. What do I do, Mike? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. I'm fighting for her, but I'm so tired. He sat beside me, his voice soft. You're not alone, Tom. Ed's talking to folks. Mrs. Larson's got half the neighborhood riled up. Keep going. The doorbell rang, sharp and sudden. It was Clara, the woman from the meeting, her eyes red from crying. Tom, I'm sorry to barge in, she said, her voice trembling. My husband's on oxygen. If Horizon takes our home, we've got nowhere to go. My heart broke. I pulled out a chair. Sit, Clara, I said. They're not taking your home. Or mine. She clutched my hand, tears spilling. You really own the road? You could stop them. I nodded, my throat tight. I've got the papers. And proof Helen's working with Horizon. We're gonna win this. Clara's voice shook. I trusted Helen. We all did. How could she do this? I squeezed her hand. Grieved Clara. But she's not as smart as she thinks. Mike spoke up. Tom's got a plan, Clara. That gate she loves? It's on his land. She's trapped. Clara's eyes widened. You're gonna shut it down? Lock us all out. I shook my head, thinking of Jenny's dream of a real community. No, I said. I'm not like her. I'm fighting for all of us. Clara wiped her eyes, her voice stronger. What can I do? I looked at Mike, then back at her. Talk to your neighbors, I said. Show them the video. Get them to the next meeting. She nodded, standing. For my husband, she said. And for Jenny. My chest tightened, and I could barely nod as she left. Alone with Mike, I pulled out the folder, my hands shaking. Helen's not stopping, I said. What's her next move? Mike frowned. She'll try to discredit you. Maybe fake some documents. Victor's probably got lawyers working overtime. I stood, pacing. Then we need more proof, I said. Something they can't twist. Mike grinned. Already on it. I know a guy at the county. Owes me a favor. He's digging into Horizon's permits. If they bribed anyone, we'll find it. I stopped, my heart racing. Mike, you're a lifesaver, I said. He shrugged. Just don't get soft on me, Tom. Jenny'd want you swinging. The next day, I met Lisa at a coffee shop, the folder heavier now with Mike's new findings. A shady payment from Horizon to a county official. Linked to Helen's signature. Lisa's eyes lit up. Tom, this is a slam dunk, she said, sipping her coffee. Bribery, collusion, fraud. We take this to the meeting, Helen's finished. My hands trembled, not with fear, but hope. And Horizon? I asked. Lisa's voice hardened. They'll back off once their deal's exposed. But, Tom, Helen's desperate. She might try something crazy. I thought of Jenny, her strength in those final days. Let her try, I said. I'm ready. That night I got a call from Ed. Tom, you gotta hear this, he said, his voice low. I was at the bar, and Victor was there, talking to some guy. Said they're sending you a legal notice tomorrow. Something about eminent domain. My blood ran cold. They're saying the county needs my land? I asked. Ed's voice shook. Yeah. It's a lie, Tom. They're trying to scare you. I gripped the phone, my anger boiling. Thanks, Ed, I said. Tell everyone to bring that video to the meeting. We're ending this. I hung up, my heart pounding. Jenny's photo glowed under the lamp. They're not taking you from me, I whispered, tears falling. I swear it. I sat up late, watching the gate through my window, its metal glinting under the moon. Helen thought she'd break me with her lies and lawyers. But every step she took was pulling her deeper into my trap. The meeting was 2 days away, and I had everything, papers, videos, neighbors ready to fight. I called Mrs. Larson. Clara's with us, I said. Ed, too. You still in? Her voice was fierce. Till the end, Tom. Helen's not tearing us apart. I smiled, Jenny's strength flowing through me. The gate was her weapon, but I'd made it mine, and soon she'd see how deep this trap went. The sunrise painted my ranch in gold, but my heart felt heavy as I stood by Jenny's garden, her wildflowers swaying in the breeze. Every petal was a piece of her, and the thought of Horizon bulldozing it made my chest ache like a fresh wound. Tears fell as I touched the flowers, whispering, I'm fighting, Jenny. For you. The gate loomed at the road's end, a cruel reminder of Helen's betrayal, but it was my trap now, and tomorrow's HOA meeting would spring it. I wasn't just saving my home, I was saving hers. My phone buzzed, snapping me back. It was Lisa, her voice tense. Tom, you got that legal notice yet? She asked. I frowned, my stomach twisting. Not yet. Ed said it's about eminent domain. Is that real? Lisa sighed. It's a scare tactic. Horizon's trying to bully you. Bring everything to the meeting, papers, video, all of it. We'll bury them. My hand shook, anger mixing with fear. They're not taking my ranch, Lisa, I said, my voice breaking. Jenny's here. In every corner of this place. Her voice softened. I know, Tom. We've got this. Just stay strong. I was still reeling when Ed showed up, his truck rattling into the driveway. He stepped out, his face pale. "Tom, it's bad," he said, holding up a printed email. "Helen's saying you forged the easement. She's got some lawyer on her side, spreading lies." My blood boiled. "Forged," I shouted, snatching the paper. "This is my land. My deed." Ed grabbed my arm, his voice steady. "I know, Tom. But she's got half the neighborhood scared. They think you'll lock us out." I sank onto the porch steps, my head in my hands. "I'd never do that," I said, tears burning. "This is about Helen, not them." Ed sat beside me, his voice soft. "Then tell them that. Clara's been showing the video. People are listening. You gotta keep fighting." Before I could answer, Mrs. Larson's car pulled up, Clara in the passenger seat. They hurried over, their faces grim. "Tom, we heard about the notice," Mrs. Larson said, her voice shaking. "Is it true? Can they take your land?" Clara's eyes were red, her hands trembling. "My husband can't move, Tom. If they take our homes," her voice broke, and I stood, my heart twisting. "They're lying," I said, my voice firm. "The road's mine. I've got proof. They can't touch us." Clara grabbed my hand, tears streaming. "You're sure? You promise?" I nodded, swallowing hard. "I promise. For Jenny. For your husband. For all of us." Mrs. Larson spoke up, her voice fierce. "Then we're with you, Tom. I talked to 10 neighbors today. They're coming to the meeting. They're done with Helen's games." Ed nodded. "I got 5 more. They saw the video. They're mad." My chest swelled, hope fighting the pain. "You're all amazing," I said, my voice thick. "But Helen's not done. What's her next move?" Clara frowned. "I heard she's bringing that lawyer to the meeting. Victor, too. They're gonna say you're breaking the law." I laughed bitter. "Breaking the law? They're the ones bribing officials." Mrs. Larson's eyes widened. "You've got proof of that?" I nodded, patting the folder. "Right here. Tomorrow they're finished." That night, I sat at the kitchen table, the folder open, Jenny's photo beside me. My phone rang. "Mike. Tom, my county guy came through," he said, his voice excited. "Found a bank transfer. Horizon to Helen, 10 grand. Marked consulting. It's a bribe." My heart raced. "You're kidding," I said. "This is it, Mike." He chuckled. "Told you I'm good. You ready for tomorrow?" I looked at Jenny smile, her strength filling me. "More than ready," I said. "They thought they'd break me. They're wrong." Mike's voice turned serious. "Be careful, Tom. Helen's cornered. That's when people get mean." I hung up and walked to the window, staring at the gate. It stood silent, but tomorrow it'd be my weapon. I thought of Jenny, how she'd hold my hand during her chemo, saying, "We're tougher than they know." A sob caught in my throat. "I'm doing this for you," I whispered. The doorbell rang, startling me. It was Clara again, alone, her face pale. "Tom, I'm scared," she said, stepping inside. I saw Victor's car outside Helen's house. They were loading boxes, like they're hiding something. My jaw tightened. "Hiding evidence," I said. "They know we're coming." Clara's voice shook. "What if we lose? What if they win?" I grabbed her shoulders, my voice steady. "We won't lose, Clara. I've got the easement, the video, the bribe. And we've got each other." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "You're right. I'm sorry. It's just my husband's all I have." My heart ached, thinking of Jenny. "I get it," I said softly. "That's why we're fighting. Go home, Clara. Rest. Tomorrow we end this." She hugged me, her voice a whisper. "Thank you, Tom. For everything." As she left, I felt Jenny's presence, her love pushing me forward. Helen and Victor could scheme all they wanted. The gate was my trap, and tomorrow they'd walk right into it. The morning of the HOA meeting felt like a storm waiting to break. I stood in my kitchen, Jenny's photo glowing under the light, her smile steadying my shaking hands. My heart ached with the weight of her loss, but her love fueled me to fight for our ranch. The folder of evidence, easement, video, bribe proof, felt like a lifeline, but fear gnawed at me. Helen and Victor were cornered, and cornered snakes strike hard. I called Lisa before heading out. "Everything ready?" I asked, my voice tight. "Tom, we're solid," she said, her tone firm. The easement's clear, the bribe's damning. Just stick to the plan. I swallowed hard, thinking of Jenny's garden. They're not taking her from me, I said, tears burning. Lisa's voice softened. They won't. We've got the crowd on your side. See you there. I hung up, grabbing the folder, my resolve hardening. This was for Jenny, for Clara, for everyone Helen betrayed. At the community center, the room was packed, tension thick as fog. Ed met me at the door, his eyes nervous but determined. Tom, Clara's got 20 people here, he said. They're mad as hell. I nodded, my chest tight. Good. We need them. Mrs. Larson rushed over, her face pale. Tom, Helen's lawyer's here, she whispered. Big shot from the city. They're saying you're a liar. My stomach twisted, but I forced a smile. Let them talk, I said. We've got the truth. Helen stood at the podium, her smile fake, Victor and the lawyer beside her. She started, her voice sharp. We're here to stop Mr. Carter's false claims, she said. He's threatening our community. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I stood, my voice cutting through. False. I said, my anger raw. You locked me out of my ranch. You're selling us out to Horizon. The crowd roared, some shouting support, others doubt. Helen's lawyer, a slick guy named Paul, stepped forward. Mr. Carter, your easement's a fake, he said, holding up papers. This proves the road's ours. My heart pounded, but I held up my folder. This is different, I said, my voice shaking. My deed's real, and I got proof you bribed the county. I nodded to Ed, who plugged the USB into a projector. The video played, Helen and Victor plotting to find me, their voices cold. The crowd gasped. Clara stood, her voice trembling. You lied, Helen. My husband's sick, and you're stealing our homes. Mrs. Larson joined her. We trusted you, she yelled, tears in her eyes. You're a thief. Helen's face went white. That's edited, she shouted. He's lying. I stepped closer, my voice steady despite the tears. I'm lying? You worked with Horizon to take my ranch. Jenny's ranch. My voice broke, and the room went quiet. She loved this place. You think you can erase her? Victor stood, his voice smooth. Calm down, Tom. Let's talk privately. I laughed, bitter. No deals, Victor. You're done. Ed shouted, show the bribe. I held up the bank transfer. Horizon to Helen. The crowd erupted, people yelling at Helen. Paul tried to speak, but no one listened. Helen banged the podium, her voice shrill. You'll pay for this, Tom. I met her eyes, my grief and anger burning. No, Helen. You will. Clara grabbed my arm, sobbing. Thank you, Tom. For us. I hugged her, my own tears falling. Jenny's strength was in me, and the trap was closing. But Helen's glare told me she wasn't done fighting. The community center's chaos lingered in my mind as I stood on my porch, Jenny's wildflowers glowing under the moonlight. My heart pounded with grief and hope, her memory wrapping around me like a warm blanket. The folder of evidence had torn Helen's lies apart, but her final threat, you'll pay, Tom, echoed in my ears. Tears fell as I whispered to the stars, we did it, Jenny. They can't take you. But the fight wasn't over until the gate came down for good. My phone buzzed, Lisa, her voice urgent. Tom, the sheriff's at the center, she said. Helen's claiming you threatened her. We need you here now. My stomach dropped. Threatened her? I said, my voice shaking. She's the one stealing our homes. Lisa's tone hardened. It's a last-ditch move. Bring the folder. We'll end this. I grabbed the evidence, my hands trembling. I'm coming, I said, Jenny's strength pushing me forward. For everyone. The center was a circus when I arrived, sheriff's deputies by the door, neighbors shouting. Ed met me, his face red. Tom, Helen's saying you faked everything, he said. She's got Victor and that lawyer spinning lies. Clara rushed over, tears streaming. Tom, they're saying we'll lose our homes if you win, she sobbed. My chest ached, but I hugged her tight. They're scared, Clara, I said. We've got the truth. Mrs. Larson joined us, her voice fierce. We're with you, Tom. All 50 of us. Showdown. Inside, Helen stood with Sheriff Daniels, her eyes smug. Victor and Paul, the lawyer, flanked her. I stepped forward, folder in hand. "Sheriff, she's lying," I said, my voice steady despite the tears. "She locked me out of my ranch. She's working with Horizon to steal our land." Helen laughed, sharp. "He's delusional, Sheriff. Arrest him." The sheriff frowned, looking at me. "Tom, you got proof?" I nodded, opening the folder. "Right here. My deed. The easement. Proof of her bribe." I held up the bank transfer, then played the video of Helen and Victor plotting. The crowd gasped, neighbors yelling. Clara's voice broke through. "Sheriff, my husband's dying," she cried. "Helen's taking our home for condos." Ed shouted, "She fined me for my mailbox. She's a crook." Mrs. Larson waved the easement. "Tom owns the road. She trapped us." Helen's face crumbled, her voice shrill. "It's all lies." Victor stepped in, his voice smooth. "Sheriff, let's settle this quietly." I laughed, bitter. "No deals, Victor. You're done." Sheriff Daniels raised a hand. "Enough. Tom, this evidence is solid. Helen, you're coming with me." The crowd cheered, but Helen screamed, "You'll regret this, Tom." Paul tried to slip out, but Ed blocked him. "Where you going?" he growled. The sheriff cuffed Helen, her eyes burning with hate. Victor slunk away, the crowd booing. Clara hugged me, sobbing. "You saved us, Tom." I held her, tears falling. "We saved each other," I said. Mrs. Larson grabbed my hand. "Jenny, be proud," she whispered. My throat tightened. "She is," I said, feeling her with me. Days later, the gate came down my road free. The sheriff charged Helen with fraud, and Horizon scrapped their project. I opened my ranch for a community picnic, neighbors laughing in Jenny's garden. Clara smiled, her husband beside her. Ed raised a glass. "To Tom," he said. "And Jenny." I looked at her photo in my pocket, tears in my eyes. "To us," I whispered. The moral was clear. Stand together, and no one can break you. If you loved the story, subscribe for more HOA fights.